Well, hello there. Nice to meet you. As one of you may have noticed, I'm not Sébastien Dieu. I am Julien Janon, and I'm here today because I'm the main developer behind this POS Glory connector. So, without any further ado, let's dig into it. And as a famous Italian plumber say, let's go! So here is the roadmap of my presentation. First of all, I will briefly introduce you to BHC, our company. Then we will try to answer the question, why do we need a POS and Glory connector? I will explain then to you how does it work. Spoiler alert, it works correctly. We will have an overview of the module, and then I will present you the future version of this module. And after all of that, we will have a small Q&A session. We will have a QR code in the Q&A slide for you to write your question on the Odoo pad. And then someone will tell me the question. OK? Let's go. So, BHC was created in 1998 in Mons, in the area of Mons in Belgium, by our general manager, Bertrand Hanot. Hello, Bertrand. We are Odoo integrator for 15 years, and maybe we are a small team, but we are efficient enough to be gold partner. Thank you very much. So, why do we need a POS and Glory connector? Odoo, we all know it. We all know that Odoo is a great ERP solution, which also offers a POS module. You've seen it in the previous presentation. You may not know, but Glory is a leader on the cash machines market. And as company tends to be cashless, to have some cash machine on small shop, on restaurant, on small business, allows you to have less cash manipulation, less manual counting, and those two reasons imply to have less error in your cash money. And of course, as those machines are some kind of small bunkers, it increases security a lot. So here is an example of a Glory machine. For this example, this is the CI10, which is on your left, the coin part, and on your right, the notes part. For those who are not familiar with those kinds of machines, if you're familiar with the Grand Pré à Mons, there are some kind of those machines in those shops. But how does the connector work? Once again, it works correctly. So you're on your Odoo server and you start your POS session. But the POS session needs some information that only the machine can provide. So through RPC calls, the POS session is interrogating the Odoo server. And this is the Odoo server to have the role to send SOAP requests to the machine. Of course, the machine gives SOAP a response to the Odoo server, and then, through the RPC response, the Odoo server updates some information on the POS. It's interesting to know that during all this process, the machine sends TCP packets to the Odoo server, and those TCP packets are used from the POS to update some information. For example, the status of the machine or the amount inserted during a transaction. But let's start to use our new module. First of all, we need to access the POS module by clicking here on the dashboard, and then starting a new session by clicking on Start New Session. So this is the start screen of the POS with the opening cash control. And to control the money we will have during our working day, we have to click on the calculator icon to have this display. You may notice that those information are directly coming from the machine. I will show it to you later. But from now, please notice that we have only one bill, one note of €5, one note of $10, and one note of $20. So here is how the machine looks like in a development point of view. On the left part of the screen, you have what the customer sees when he is on the shop. This is the controlling screen for the customer, telling him to insert or remove the money. On the right part of the screen, you have, as I was saying, in the top part, the notes device, and in the lower part, the coins device. And at the extreme part of the screen, this is the internal of those machines. So, as you may notice, we still have, from the bottom to the top, our cassette for our $20 bills, the cassette for our $10 bills, and the cassette for our $5 bills. The last cassette is for bills that are greater than $20. Let's say that we add 5 notes for each kind of notes. So at the end, we will have 5 notes for $5, $10, and $20. And those information are directly reflected on the POS screen. You have to close the screen and reopen it again to update the information. But this information are directly coming from the machine. I'm not talking about the coins because who cares about 200 5-cent coins? So now that we have the money for our working day, you can see that once again we have our coins, our notes, our $5 bills, our $10 bills, and our $20 bills. It's time to open the shop and to be sure that we are still connected to the Glory machine. With this icon, we have a small message by a mouse over telling that the machine is still connected. If the machine wasn't connected, this icon would be red. Once we click on this icon, we have the logs of the machine. It's very important to have them for any kind of control because Glory provides support for those machines, and those logs could help Glory to identify a problem. But it's time to start our first transaction with an item of $10. So here is the classic POS screen when you start a transaction. And here is the payment screen. And I want you to pay attention of those 2 new items, the Glory Cash Machine payment methods and the Show Money Details. Of course, when you click on Show Money Details, once again, you have the information of the notes and the coins that are in the machines. As you can see, we still have our $5 notes, our $10 notes, and our $20 note. So we choose to check the Glory payment method. Now we have the possibility to send the SOAP request to the machine by clicking the button Send. And once it's done, the request is sent, and the machine is waiting for money to be inserted or the transaction to be cancelled. What's going on the machine? As you can see, the machine wants the customer to insert the amount of $10 in any way. 5 $2 coins, 2 bills of $5, we don't mind. The machine doesn't mind. So, as you may see, there is still 5 notes of $5 in the machine. So we choose to insert a note of $5. Now, the machine gives the information that $5 has been inserted, but is still requiring to have $5 inserted to complete the transaction. And now you can see here, the note's amount has increased by 1. On the POS screen, you will see that in real time, the POS is updated with the amount inserted in the machine. Let's say that for any reason we have to cancel this transaction. So we just have to click on the cancel button, and in the machine, the transaction is canceled. As you can see, there is a retry button if for any reason the customer didn't add enough money or he changed his mind or her mind. But if so, if the transaction could be completed, we only had to click on retry again. So as you can see, there is $5 to remove from the machine. So basically, there is a removal drawer, and the customer only has to take this bill, and the machine will complete the transaction. As you can see, the amount of $5 has been decreased, and there is 1 bill in the removal drawer. Let's say that we took our DeLorean and go back in time to complete the transaction and insert 2 bills of $5. Now the transaction is completed and we can validate the order. Once again, the money details show that we have clearly inserted 2 notes of $5. Of course, we can choose to print the recipe for the customer. It will be useful later. Let's start with another example. we have an item of $30. So we add this item to our POS system, we click on the payment screen, and we choose the Glory payment method. The request is sent to the machine. And as you can see, once again, the machine is requiring to add $30. As you can see, we are still in the following process of the first transaction. So we are typically in a normal working day with the notes amount be updated by the previous transaction. For example, here, the first transaction has updated the amount of $5 bills from 5 to 7. So the customer has inserted a note of $50. A quick calculation leads us to tell that the machine needs to give back $20. And this is what is happening. Here we have in our cassette a bill of $50. Remember that this cassette is the bill cassette for bills greater than $20. And we can see that the machine has already prepared the $20 bills to be removed from the customer, which is here. Of course, on the POS system, you can see that the returned amount of the machine is clearly defined in real time. And also, you can see that the status of the machine, also in real time, is on waiting for removal of cash. So the customer has removed the $20 bills. The transaction is complete. The machine can now be in its idle state and leave his machine live. Once again, you can see that there is no more bills in the removal drawer, and the machine is in idle. The transaction is complete, and I want you to pay attention of two information. First of all, the change information and the return information. Excuse me. The change information is only there for calculation, and the return information is the physical, the concrete amount of money that has been returned by the machine. This will be useful later. So, as you can see once again, the POS system shows that the money details has been updated accordingly from what it is in the machine. So our customer is very happy with its transaction, and he chooses to have the recipe to be printed. Once again, pay attention on the change and the return amount. Why we choose to display those different amounts on the recipe? Let's say that, for example, the machine has enough money to return the $20 to the customer. So, for example, it returned $10. The customer with his recipe could go to the front desk and say, hey, I've paid $50 from a $30 transaction, and the machine only gives me back $10. Can you give me the difference? This is why we have the difference between the logical amount to be returned and the physical amount be returned. So after this very harassing working day of 2 orders in our shop, we decide to close. And for this, we need now to count all the money we have in the machine. But luckily, the machine will count for us. Let's click on this calculator account. You can see that there is a difference of $185. This is because when we open our shop, we add $125 in the machine. But now we have to check how many amount of money we have in the machine. Spoiler, it will be more $40. So once again, we have this display telling us what's in the machine. And here you can clearly say that we still have our 205-cent coins, our 7 notes of $5, our 5 notes of $10, and our 4 notes of $20. We can now close our shop. And of course, don't forget our greatest notes of $50. It's now time to close the shop. So, as you can see, there is a difference. There is a difference of $40 for our working day because we made 2 transactions for a sum of $40. We accept the profit, and we can close our shop. As you can see, we started with $185, and we closed the shop with $225. Thanks to our machine, we didn't need to count anything. I've presented you a version of the module which is currently managed by the Odoo server. So this is the Odoo server who has the priority to send requests to the machine. In a lighter version, we are working on a version which will send the request directly from the POS. But for technical limitation, the POS cannot read TCP packets. So this is not possible from now to have the information of inserted amount, of status of the machine. This will only be tested when you send the request. You will have an error saying that the machine is not available or something. But to avoid those problems and to have a lighter version of the current version, we are working on a version where it will be the IoT box that will manage all the communication that the Odoo server does. Thank you very much for your attention. That was the first time for me, and I'll be very glad to answer your question by checking this QR code. Thank you very much.
Ouais, mais il n'y a rien.
Il n'y a rien?
Enfin, y en a eu.
Je peux m'en aller, c'est bon? J'entends pas.
Allô,
Ah ouais,
OK.
Là maintenant
So,
j'entends, oui.
can this functionality be applied to other cash logi machines?
It depends of the logic behind the machine. For example, if the machine is able to send SOAP request, we only have to adapt the request to fit the needs of the machine. It depends of the API of the machine. But the request, the code is separated correctly to only have to update the request.
Okay. So the pricing?
They're still not pricing yet.
Okay. Is this module on sale?
Not yet. For this module to be on sale, we have to answer a certification from the Glory system, and we are working on it to have it by the end of the year, and hopefully, unluckily by the beginning of next year.
Okay, so I don't have any other questions. So
thank you very much, guys.